Well, folks, here we are. Another year, another federal election looming on the horizon. But this isn't just any election. No, no, no. This one comes with a brand new liberal leader, an ongoing economic crisis, and oh, yeah, a little something called Trump's tariffs, throwing everything into chaos. On one side, we've got Pierre Poilievre, the conservative leader with the populist edge, on a laser focus on economic issues. He's been hammering away at the cost of living crisis like it's his full time job. Which, let's be honest, it kind of is. And on the other side, we have Mark Carney, the global banker, the former Bank of Canada and Bank of England governor, and the man who probably wears a three-piece suit to bed. A guy who until recently wasn't even in politics, but has now parachuted in as a new liberal leader and prime minister. Sound exciting? Well, buckle up, because we're about to break down exactly what's at stake. Why this race just got way tighter, and why Donald Trump, yes, Trump, might end up deciding the whole thing. Now, if we had this discussion a few months ago, the Conservative Party was absolutely crushing it in the polls, with Trudeau sinking in popularity faster than the Titanic. Poilievre had built a huge lead. But enter Mark Carney, and suddenly, bam, we've got a tight race in the who would make the best prime minister category. Both Poilievre and Carney are sitting at 30% each. Of course, the Conservatives still have a 6-point lead overall. But here's where it gets complicated. Because while Poilievre had all the momentum before, the Liberals have surged 10 points in just a couple of months. Yep, turns out when a certain former and current President of the United States slaps a 25% tariff on Canadian steel and aluminium, people start getting really nervous. That's right, Trump's back. And he's not playing nice with Canada. First, he hit us with a 25% tariff, then he threatened to double it to 50%. And suddenly, the economic concerns are no longer just about housing and inflation, they're about whether Canada is getting steamrolled by our biggest trading partner. And people are worried. According to the recent polls, 80% of Canadians think these tariffs will make their cost of living worse. 90% of Canadians think this is bad for Canada-US relations. 77% want retaliation against the US.
Really being able to see what it is that he wants, because even the excuse that he's giving for these tariffs today of fentanyl is completely bogus, completely unjustified, completely false. So we actually have to fold back on the one thing he has said repeatedly, that what he wants is to see a total collapse of the Canadian economy, because that'll make it easier to annex us, is the second half of his thought. Now, first of all, that's never going to happen. We will never be the 51st state.
Wait, what? Trudeau's out here basically suggesting Canada's sovereignty is at risk? I mean, sure, Trump's known for making extreme demands, but come on. Are we really talking about annexation now? Dramatic? Yes. Effective messaging? Also yes. And it's helping Carney big time. Now, here's where things get tricky for Pierre Poilievre. The entire reason he's been leading in the polls is because he's been laser focused on affordability, inflation, and government waste. But now, Canadians are looking at him and asking, how are you going to handle Trump? And this is where we get mixed signals. Some polls say 28% of Canadians think Poilievre will be tough against Trump. 31% of Canadians think he'd just roll over. 27% unsure. And the problem? While Poilievre has spent a lot of time attacking Trudeau, he hasn't exactly made it clear how he'd handle Trump's aggressive trade policies. And Carney is already trying to capitalize on it.
Let me finish by pointing out one other thing. Who's the worst person to stand up to Donald Trump? It's Pierre Poilievre. He worships the man. He uses his language. He's not the right person for our country at this crucial time.
Translation? Pierre doesn't know what he's doing. Alright, let's put this all together. The Conservatives still have the advantage. They're leading in fundraising, organization, and voter enthusiasm. Poilievre has built his brand on economic issues, and if he can pivot back to the affordability and inflation, he could regain the upper hand. But Trump's tariffs have thrown a wrench into his campaign narrative, and he hasn't convinced voters he's the right guy to stand up to the US. Carney is on the rise, leveraging his economic experience and the rally around the flag effect to make a real race out of this. At this point, this election is too close to call. But here's what I can tell you. If Trump escalates the trade war, Carney benefits. If Poilievre shifts the focus back to domestic issues, he stays ahead. If the election becomes about who can best handle Trump, well, let's just say Poilievre better get a plan together fast. So what do you guys think? Does Poilievre have what it takes to win despite the Trump factor? Or is Carney about to pull off the upset of the decade? Drop a comment below and let me know your take. And hey, if you like this breakdown, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss future updates, because this election is about to get crazy.